Talent to Win business coaching webinar, where CEOs and executive leadership teams will learn how to tell talent is the secret sauce for businesses that successfully grow to become hidden champions. Are you struggling with talent attraction and retention? What's the link between talent attraction and retention? Maybe this is what your retention strategy currently looks like. Hopefully not, but maybe. Well, as Jim Collins says in his foundational research From Good to Great, the ultimate throttle on growth for any great company is not markets, not technology, not competition or products. It is one thing above all others: the ability to get and keep enough of the right people. That's me, Jerome Dickey, the founder and CEO of Agile Work Solutions. I guide CEOs, executive directors, and executive leadership teams in identifying barriers, working to build and implement a roadmap through a proven, practical, and profitable approach for growth. In essence, we transform business through people by helping to simplify the complex with a focus on the 7 attributes of agile growth. Some of my clients are chief executive officers, executive directors, boards, executive leadership teams, entrepreneurs or founders, small, medium enterprises, and community organizations. So what are the 7 attributes of agile growth? Well, it's a strategic business framework for growth that addresses every aspect of business operations, yet is designed to incorporate outside content, tools, and principles. So think of it as an open operating system rather than a closed one, and it never stops evolving. And that's what separates the Agile Growth Framework from many others out there. Too often we're seeing CEOs and leadership teams lack discipline and a culture of accountability. And as a result, they don't commit to the consistent application of a proven framework for growth. Put simply, they're failing because they've failed to commit. Well, the 7 attributes of agile growth is a more disciplined approach. It's empowered by a proven, comprehensive, yet adaptable framework for growth. Those who select the right framework outperform their competitors. We know that from research. And their CEOs are also more confident and productive. As a result, they're able to build award-winning companies and greater personal wealth. A true strategic business growth framework is agile, it's comprehensive, and remains consistent through time. Instead of a passing fad, it serves as a foundation within which new content, research, and tools can be integrated throughout. So here's what the 7 attributes of agile growth are: leadership, talent, strategy, execution, customer, profit, and systems. Today, our focus is on the talent attribute. Here's a metaphor I'd like to share with you regarding the 7 attributes of agile growth framework. And if you think about building a home for a moment, after the foundation's laid, the framing of the home sets the basic structure for the home and will include the appropriate rooms in the house to make it a home. Think of a kitchen, family room, dining room, bedrooms, bathrooms, laundry room, office. Each room carefully framed in, and the home would be incomplete without each room. Once framed, each family that lives in the home for years and decades to come may change the colors, the decorations, the furniture, but the basic 7 rooms remain well framed and remain the core for the home's benefit of the family for years to come. And so it's with the 7 attributes. Each is vital to a company's growth, from startup to full maturity. And through time, various tools, service providers, and content can be added and modified, but the basic structure, the basic framework remains intact and holds the home, if you want, together. The growth framework is agile, scalable, and comprehensive. When agile, we mean continuous evaluation, course correction, and alignment to outpace your competitor's strategy and their execution, their profit. And it's scalable. It's a framework that scales with tools and advisors that can help scale all the way up from an IPO to a successful exit. And it's comprehensive, includes thought leadership, current leadership, which continues to get incorporated into it, practical tools, and expert advisors. The agile growth process is easy and speedy. It starts with building an annual plan, what we call a growth roadmap with your leadership team. Then applying and employing the 7 attributes tools continuously, and then assessing the progress frequently on regular intervals. When market conditions change, when new opportunities arise, or adversary comes calling, like we saw this past year and a half, 2 years with COVID. Here's a brief look at what the roadmap looks like. Every company has a business plan. The question is whether they have intentionally and proactively planned it out as a team, or somewhere between sort of winging it and having it well documented and current. This roadmap will become a central tool to running your organization with a clear focus for reaching your goals. This is explored in more detail in another webinar. Today, we're going to give you the gift of a powerful tool to help you build top talent to win. But all our tools are simple, they're one page and easy to understand, they're practical, they include learning, instructions, and discussion how to apply it to your business. And they're actionable. They require that discussion specific to your business and applying it within the circumstances of what your operation looks like. Okay, let's get started diving into the topic of talent. I want you to reflect on this question for a moment, and if you got a piece of paper, pull it out, make a note or two. Who is responsible to ensure your business has the right people in the right seats doing the right work? Who's responsible to ensure your business has the right people in the right seats doing the right work? Jot down a note or two about that. And one more question for you. Again, similarly, reflect on this, make a note or two about it as you think about this. What impacts might there be within your organization when you have someone who is outgrowing their position in a key role? What impacts might there be in your organization when you have someone who is outgrowing their position in a key role? Think about that for a moment, make a couple notes as you think about that. Okay, we're going to keep moving here. So let's take a look at the talent attribute to ensure a growth company has the right people in the right seats doing the right things. Let's ask a question, take a moment to pause and reflect before answering this. We're not going to have you share your answer. But again, you can write it down if you're thinking about it here. We want you to simply be very honest with yourselves when we ask this question, because our answer to this question may be the first step to a positive change that makes a revolutionary difference in your business success. Let's take a few seconds to reflect on this question. Would you enthusiastically rehire everyone on your team, i.e. your direct reports? Would you? Would you really? Everyone? Well, this can be a very tough question to be asking yourself and your leadership team. Let's now see why we're asking this. An organization that's agile and can scale successfully has developed a system for identifying, screening, hiring, coaching, and developing top talent. These refer to as your A players in an organization. So here's the 5 key activities when completed ensure the successful creation of these processes and the results. Organizations have a core purpose values that's clear, they're visible, and they're part of your daily operations. So ask yourself, can everyone on your leadership team clearly state your purpose and values? Concise vision has to be communicated to key stakeholders. Makes it clear where your business is heading. It's that vision of where you're going, what you're about, and by association for your key stakeholders, where do they fit within this? Key attributes of ideal team member are used in recruiting, onboarding, and your feedback systems. And this comes from Patrick Lencioni, who has very sage advice and suggestions regarding having the right people. And he says they're the ones who have humility, hunger, and people smarts. To learn more about that, I highly recommend reading The Ideal Team Player to find out more. Regular assessment of overall talent profiles and actions to reward, coach, and discipline. This is looking at it from a higher strategic level, ensuring the right supports are in place to not overthink what needs to happen to take action. Learning opportunities for everyone and coaching by a manager and or mentoring. Now, everyone needs to have learning and growth opportunities, or people will wilt just like a plant. Managers should all have coach training, and mentorship should be part of the culture. Here's the top 5 hassles we consistently encounter in growth companies through time. How do you deal with them as a leader or manager in your organization? Tolerance of C and B players, or even clients for that matter. We'll talk about B and C players in just a moment, a little more. Having inadequate tools and resources available to you. The bureaucratic structures we see, unnecessary policies and procedures. Yes, we need some policies and procedures clearly, but there's often too much. And what I've seen is often just continue to add layers being added on. This becomes burdensome after a while. Which leads to the next one, is really slow decision-making and lack of empowerment. How quickly can a decision be made in your organization? Who needs to be involved? And empowerment. Who's empowered to make which decisions at what level? And finally, lack of trust leading to politics and role confusion. Trust is so foundational to any business and any organization. And if you want to learn more about it, a great framework to look at that. The 5 dysfunctions of a team shows it how foundational that trust is. It's the first level in that model, and it's really important, very effective in working with teams. And role confusion is another one as part of this. Role confusion, is everyone really clear on their roles between what the job description says, what people actually do, and what they're expected to do? Is that clear? If the leadership team is healthy and aligned, the next important question to ask is, how is the frontline team that is executing the business doing? Do we have the right talent on the bus, sort of speaking? Are they living the core values? Are they productive? If not, why not? These are all vital questions for the leadership team to consider, and it begins with making sure you have the right people doing the right things in the right way. As we began the talent attributes section, we shared Jim Collins' wisdom, and that's coming from research, of the importance of selecting the right people to bring into your company and help the wrong people leave your company. That is, the best companies have cultures with the right people in the right seats, doing the right things. Great companies develop a discipline to ask these questions regularly and then take action to ensure they're happening in the culture. Let's use an example of American Homes. They're out of Phoenix, they're a home builder, and they've been an avid 7 attributes user for a decade. And their CEO, Andy Warren, makes culture and people the top priorities at American Homes. They've been very successful with this. He's actually spoken to us at a forum recently. American is clear on their core values and have developed their actions to live by each day. So they've taken their core values and they've built it into really their culture, what they live by each day. They use a top grain-like process for hiring talent and semi-annually conduct rigorous talent reviews and a ranking process, which ensures that leaders will proactively work with their team members to develop them into A players or rock solid B players they can count on for consistent execution of their business plan. It's really hard to have good execution of your business plan if you don't have that. Additionally, CEO Andy personally onboards every new team member by taking them through the core values and the 7 attributes roadmap. So new team members understand both the importance of culture and execution planning, i.e. the quarterly priorities. Now, you may not be able to do that, depends on the size of your business, but certainly it's critical that employees from day one understand what the business looks like. Here are the 5 key attributes of developing a culture where you have the right people in your company. Let's review them and you can put them to work in your next leadership team exercise. Consider these best practices for your talent program. Regular review of your team. Leaders should have an ongoing regular review of their talent to ensure they're continuously working to upgrade talent and remove C players from the culture. Living the core values. It's vital that the CEO ensure their direct reports, the senior leadership team members, are exemplary of the core values first. If they're not living the core values, demonstrating that, you've got a problem. As goes the senior leadership team, so goes the rest of the company. Then cascade downward with direct reports living the values. People are productive in their individual roles. A-player talent should be some of the most productive team members in the individual contributor roles, as well as living the values as examples. Avoid the C-player trap. The number one reason A players leave a company is tolerance of C players. The vast majority of managers and companies spend more time with C players one-on-one than with A players, often due to disciplinary reasons or requirements to address C player behaviors. Think about how much time that can suck up for your leadership team when you have to deal with C players continuously. Don't fall in this trap of spending time with your problem people at the expense of spending time with your top talent. And I see this over and over where the A players are left because they're doing well. And we figure, no, they'll just keep doing well. We focus our time on those we're trying to fix and improve. It doesn't work. Retain, coach, warn, and move on. As leaders, learn and come to instinctively know what actions to take with each type of team members. A players, coach for growth. Even B players, you're going to coach them for growth as well. But when it comes to B, C players, you're going to warn. You're going to give them some warning about what's going on. You're going to be honest and upfront and authentic about it. And with C players, eventually, if you're going to move them out of the organization, you're not going to waste your time trying to fix them. So does anyone here have, or their significant other, shop online at zappos.com? Why? What's been your experience with that? Well, it was founded in 1999 under the domain name shoesite.com. And in July 1999, the company's name was changed from Shoesite to Zappos, and Zappos meaning the Spanish word meaning shoes. Well, in the early 2000s, Zappos made the decision to move away from its original business model, wherein the company does not manage any inventory. And its CEO, Tony Hershier, as this picture, says, even though it was hard to walk away from sales at the time, when nobody's offering you money, we couldn't distinguish ourselves in the eyes of our customers if we weren't going to control the entire experience. So they had to give up easy money. That's difficult, and manage the inventory and take the risk. Well, between 2004 and 2007, their annual revenues doubled, and they hit 840 million gross sales. And then for those who know the story here, in July 2009, Amazon acquired Zappos for 1.2 billion at the time. Now, Tony Hirsch stayed on for about 11 more years and retired in 2020 from left Amazon at that time after 21 years leading Zappos. But the key point here is Zappos is a culture, core values driven company. They take their culture very seriously, and therefore who they hire is an important process and decision at Zappos. And when Tony shares some of his best practices and principles of Zappos culture, core values and hiring is critical and essential core to that. And one example many people have heard about is to test a new employee's commitment. Zappos offers a sizable departure bonus. After having joined the company, a team member is given the opportunity to leave, and you'll actually get a bonus to leave, or they stay and continue working and get no bonus. And that's pretty original when you think about it. Why do they do this? Well, they really want to test to see if the culture and their core ideologies is the real attraction, or see if people are there just exclusively for the money. How serious is your company about the importance of core values? How many of you have heard of top grading? Well, top grading is a proven hiring and promoting method that turbocharges company performance. And this book, as you're seeing here, written by Bradford Smart, Top Grade, says that great companies, large and small, rise and fall because of their talent. The more high performers on your team, the more successful your organization will be. Makes sense, doesn't it? Well, of course, that's easier said than done. We know it's not that easy to do. But research shows that only about 25% of all new hires turn out to be your high performers. Using the top grading system over the last couple of decades, companies have boosted their hiring success rate by up to 90%. So top grade, great read, great process and system to utilize. Let's look at a simple tool adapted from some of the top grading principles now. So this is based on top grading principles. It's a simple 4-quadrant matrix where you evaluate each team member based on 2 core criteria. What percentage of the time do they live their core values? And what is their average percent productivity in their role? The answer to each question will lead to a single data point to place them in the quadrant as either an A, a B/C, or C performer. As we mentioned, with A players, you're going to retain A players, and you want to support them to thrive. For B players, excuse me, you're going to look at coaching. Coaching can be very powerful, not guaranteed, but it can be very powerful to move a lot of people. And B, C, or C players, you're going to start looking at exiting them. It's important to note that this is a summary, high-level exercise, and it does not replace your regular evaluations, coaching, and normal HR processes. This is really looking at it from a strategic level. But it's a good tool for the leadership team to evaluate and collaborate on their level of talent, strengths, and weaknesses, and actions to take to grow successfully. So here's what it looks like a little closer up here. I'm going to take a couple minutes to want you to think about your current team as we walk through this. And just thinking at a high level where each person might fall on this talent assessment grid. Think of your organization. So in this part here, we've got the core values on the left-hand axis. And that's going from sort of 0% to 100% as a guide. On the bottom part, we've got productivity. And again, going from 0% to 100%. So thinking about those two measures on both axes, where would your employees fall? Now, I've given some examples with some names in here, just for sake of looking at it. But this is what you would do, is place them in and look at it from that perspective. We use the term top grading to describe the practice we observe of not only finding, hiring, and promoting better people at all levels, because that would be upgrading, but proactively hiring and promoting only the most talented people available, while sensitively but aggressively removing chronic underperformers. And here we see just along the top, we've got the label for the B players. And again, on the right-hand side of the top there, the A players. And then we see here, we've got on the bottom part, the C players and the B/C. Now the C and B/C players are the ones with considered the lower end of core values. They're not really living the core values. And you've got to look at why that is. Sometimes it can be just the core values are not being well communicated, but are they living them? Do they understand what they are? And is it embedded into your culture? Are people living those values? On the top part, they are. Frank, Liam, Susan are living those values. Susan in this case and Liam are going to be sort of your A players. You want to support them and not put all your time into your C players here, being Charlotte, Noah, and even Emma. So here's a brief summary of the 5 key supporting activities we started with. Your core ideology, which is your core purpose and core values. That's according to Jim Collins, who's done a lot of research around this. And same with vision being very vivid. You should be able to see what that vision looks like. It should be that clear, crystal clear. Ideal team member, we talked about. And using that talent profile, an assessment tool, along with coaching for development. So let's briefly summarize some of the things we've just talked about here. Would you enthusiastically rehire everyone on your team, your direct reports? Okay, focusing on developing top talent, A players is a priority. Ensure the 5 key supporting activities are implemented. Your core purpose, core values, vision, ideal team member, talent profile, and coaching. Again, I'm going to emphasize coaching. Coaching is huge. It's come out of the executive level, and now throughout most organizations to be used throughout manager levels, supervisor levels. The access is much greater, and the cost is not what you might imagine. Surface the top 5 hassles we consistently encounter in growth companies. Tolerance of BNC players or clients, inadequate tools and resources, bureaucratic, unnecessary policies and procedures, slow decision-making and lack of empowerment, lack of trust lead to politics and role confusion. Assess your talent. Look closely at who your A, B, and C players are. Use the assessment grid you've been provided here, or use another tool. Learn from best practices for your talent program. Capture and use the expertise to develop best practices that work for your unique circumstances. Too often I see people trying to look outside their businesses, their organizations for best practices and trying to bring them in. It doesn't work. The best practices that work the best are developed within your organization. So 3 steps to winning with talent. Honestly ask yourself as CEO and your leadership team, would you enthusiastically hire everyone on your team, your direct reports? This is a difficult question. It's a hard question for people to answer because they often don't want to answer it the way they need to answer it. Assess your talent on a regular basis. And 3, discuss, agree upon, implement best practices for your unique talent program. By focusing on top talent to win, your leadership team and organization is better prepared to make choices and execute their tasks in alignment with your purpose and goals without constant supervision, while increasing empowerment and engagement. Talent is an important growth attribute that, along with other attributes, Agile Growth will launch you on the journey to improve your business success. Remember, developing and refining your talent needs to become actions your organization lives by. This means bring it together with your purpose and that big, hairy, audacious goal to make it alive in simple strategies through actions that are fun, inspirational, and energetic. Now, we just touched on this topic very surface today. Just want to give you sort of an introduction to it. As always, I welcome your feedback and thoughts on this webinar. That's the only way I can continue to improve, providing you this valuable content. Thanks for joining us today. If you need any help with this or other tools I'll be sharing with you in upcoming webinars, give me a call or send me an email and let's connect. No commitment. I'm more than willing to share what I've got. And if I can't help you, point you in the right direction to somebody who might be able to. Take care, be safe, and stay agile. Bye for now.